6, and our topic is aflatoxin. What are aflatoxins? Aflatoxins are toxic chemicals usually produced by the mold Aspergillus genus. These mold grow in soil and on plants. Aflatoxins are one health issue because of the environmental, human, and animal interactions involved. Climate change creates the right condition for the mold to grow. They have no effects on plants but produce aflatoxin that affects human and animals that are the consumers. In human, acute aflatoxin can be fatal. Chronic exposure makes aflatoxin a carcinogen for liver cancer and it stunts growth development in children. In animal, it causes tissue damage, which can lead to death. An animal can transmit aflatoxin in milk to human, and human contribute to climate change in the environment. A One Health approach will allow multiple disciplinary specialists from different fields to create sustainable solutions at an economic, environmental, and community level.
In the early 60s, aflatoxins have been regulated by the FDA. At first, there were very strict regulations in place, but they were relaxed in the 1980s after studies were done to show that aflatoxins affect animals less than they affect humans. The current standing on regulation in the U.S. is 20 parts per billion for human consumption and 300 parts per billion for most large-scale animal consumption. In Europe, the regulations on imports are much stricter at 2 parts per billion. Crop loss and the cost of research combined amount to a hefty $1.5 billion per year in the United States. Unfortunately, in other poorer countries, there is no funding to aflatoxin research or prevention, meaning that the general population is at a much higher risk to be exposed to dangerous levels of toxin. While only 1.3% of Americans had detectable levels of aflatoxins in their blood, more than 80% of Kenyans were found to have significant levels of aflatoxins. This is obviously a One Health issue that needs to be tackled all around the world.
To this issue, impacting plants, people, and animals, involves preventing Aspergillus mold growth on our crops and harvested grains before and during food production. We propose a non-governmental organization to get things moving. The NGO will provide farmers with education and equipment to grow crops best adapted to certain environments and to reduce crop stresses, as well as build facilities that allow proper drying and clean storage of grains. By trying to provide tools and education to farmers in the community, we hope for our NGO to raise awareness on aflatoxins such that policymakers and others will be motivated to make broader governmental enactments that make such farming methods and facilities common practice throughout entire nations facing this issue.
The Food and Drug Administration has been a major factor in the regulation of aflatoxins in the U.S. They've implemented restriction action levels on aflatoxins present in animal feed and food products meant for human consumption. The FDA has also created a no-blending policy that doesn't allow product contaminated with aflatoxins to be mixed with uncontaminated product to create a mix with an overall lower part per billion aflatoxin count. This solution, though, has a major loophole. If affected corn has an overall contamination level lower than the proposed restriction action level, the policy can be neglected. Farmers can still mix the contaminated corn with aflatoxin-free corn, and while this saves on costs, it puts people at risks of the disease.
Reach out to the public and educate them about aflatoxins, as it could be a potential threat to human health for consumers and can cause a severe economic impact for farmers in the produce industry. Farmers and consumers are our target population for public health intervention. Using infographics and posters like these are informative to the general community as well as more easily understood to the public.
Pre-harvest and post-harvest intervention programs. These would be educational workshops in the community to teach commercial interventions such as biocontrol and proper drying and storage of food. Using agricultural health and safety posters would be informative to farm workers on potential risks and rules and regulations on how to protect themselves. Integrating food safety posters or flyers in produce marketplaces would be beneficial to consumers. The posters would provide information on aflatoxins, the potential risks, and food alternatives to high-risk produce.
We hope you all enjoyed our presentation. Thanks for listening.